Hello everyone, welcome back to Geoguessr Explained. Good to have you along today. And we're going to be playing some Arbitrary World as usual. I'll be explaining my thought process rather briefly because it's kind of late right now. But let's get into things here. I'll tell you the main things I'm seeing on each of these rounds. Okay, first game is no moving, link in the description. And immediately, Cyrillic alphabet. It's summer coverage. Seasons can be very useful in Cyrillic-speaking countries, especially Russia and Ukraine. Let's have a look around here. Without looking at the Google car, my idea here was probably Ukraine. The road is very poor. It's quite sandy, which could be both countries, to be fair. And it's summer coverage. You get a lot of summer coverage in Ukraine compared to Russia. And I think architecture also fits quite nicely. Interesting, we have like a properly tiled roof here, which I'm not really sure what that means, but most of the roofs are more typical Russian, Ukrainian style here. From the cars, we can't get much here, I would say. I'm going to dodge the Google car here. Yeah, there's really not too much going on here to separate the two countries. You can look at number plate. If you think there's a little bit of blue and yellow on the left, then that would be Ukraine. I think it's a bit of confirmation bias, but I feel like I can see the yellow here. We can also check the signs. Do the sign posts have a black thing at the bottom? They won't always have that in Russia. Sometimes they will just leave them like silver paint, no paint job. But often you'll have the white paint with the black at the bottom. So yeah, I'm going to expect to see a red car here, and it's just short antennas. So that's actually kind of interesting. Could this then actually be Russia? Is the question. Okay. It gets interesting. Well, it looks like we have an I with a dot here, which would be Ukrainian. Let's see if we can see another one of those, because that's obviously a simple way to work out. But this BL thing, or that makes an I sound, is Russian, but you can see Russian in Ukraine, so it's more about can you see the I with the dot, because it looks like we can't unless that's an I with the dot, which I would no longer really trust, to be honest. I don't know, it vibes Ukrainian to me. That says Ruskaya, so that's talking about Russian. Okay. Wait, is this actually Russia? Okay, so I guess then we'll talk about the antenna type. So the antenna here is theoretically C-type, which is like found in Western Russia. I'm not convinced. I feel like the road is really Ukrainian. I feel like the season is really Ukrainian. And I feel like we might just be in eastern... I don't know, short antennas only in the central part of Ukraine, like between Kiev and Odessa. So, I mean, it is not as... It's definitely got more Russian speaking than in West, but still kind of sus. I don't know, it looks like Ukraine as well. I don't know, I took too long here. There's really not too much else to say, I think, but... I don't know. I feel like the number plates do have a bit of yellow. It's hard to say, and... Oh, yeah. I didn't really do a good job of explaining it, but I think it is Ukraine, and it is. Yeah, I don't know. But... I mean, obviously do look for those eyes. Do check for the red Google car, which will only be Ukraine in Gen 3 with a long antenna. Anyway, next one here. We've got a huge blur. It's low quality camera. You can kind of see. Look, if we zoom in, you can see everything is low quality. So it's the poop cam, which you find in a bunch of countries. First thoughts when you see poop cam should be Nigeria, India, and Cambodia, and I guess Ecuador too. And this immediately strikes me as Indian. Deep red soil could be Cambodia and India and Nigeria, to be fair. But... why do I think India, actually? Well, this big circle blur is more common in India than it is in Cambodia, so that's a nice start. I think it's actually just vibes here. The vegetation, the huge leaves on these... Some of these trees, I mean, it looks like a cartoon when you zoom in. It's so poor quality. Things just look Indian here. Cambodia has a very specific vibe, and I don't pick up that at all off this. So, 2 rounds in a row where I'm just saying it just looks like it, but at the end of the day, some rounds are like that. I feel like this Waystone's also more... I mean, there's a specific style in Cambodia where they'd paint it, so this one looks more Indian to me as well. Whereabouts? We don't see any palm trees, so that would immediately lead me a bit further north. We've got a West Mountain. Yeah, not too sure on where even. Thought of like Chhattisgarh. It's a very red soil region, like Odisha, Chhattisgarh. So I feel like that is somewhat valid. Yeah, it's actually kind of hard to place. I guess I would go around here. Yeah, okay, just Mardia. Mardia can pretty much have everything, so that makes sense to me as well. Next one here, we got the black follow car in Nigeria. So the police follow you around in Nigeria on about half of the frames, if not a bit more. We've got some typical like African palms here, I would say. Bit shaggier, a bit different to what you see around the world. But you see these in like Nigeria, Ghana, I guess. Yeah, so it's Gen 4 as well. Gen 4 will normally lean you southern and eastern, whereas Poop Cam will generally lean you like central and northwestern. But actually, now I said that, that's kind of changed a lot. Poop Cam's pretty much found everywhere now, and it's pretty extensive, so you will see quite a bit of it, depending on the map you play. Okay, well, even without checking the Geoguessr here, the style of pole being concrete, the follow car. We've got the antenna sticking out, which is very common in the Nigerian Gen 4. It's super green and very tall grass is something you see a lot in Nigeria as well. I don't know. The black follow car is more common in the west, like around Ibadan, Osogbo, but I got more of an eastern vibe off this one, to be honest. Not sure. I'm just going to go here. And it was just around that region. Yeah. The black follow car is definitely in Generation 4 only. More common around there. This is an easy one. We've got rock walls, we've got prickly pears, and we've got red soil. And with that combination, particularly this very pale rock wall, plus the fact that we can see ocean, that's always a good indication that you might be on an island. But yeah, this is going to be Malta. Malta has a very specific vibe. Sandstone buildings, prickly pear everywhere, pale roads, pale rock walls, rockiness everywhere. You're going to see rocks and rocks and rocks. Pretty few trees in Malta, to be fair. Lots of bushes, because it is Mediterranean, but few trees. The places that it's valid to get wrong for Malta, one, this Italian island, or maybe it's the other ones, I forget. Two, the Balearic, the Balearic Islands. Three, Bari also looks like this. And maybe four, like, Croatian islands. That's the places you can be forgiven for going on this. But yeah, you'll see all sandstone buildings. It's feeling very good for Malta, specifically. I would say this view here is just Giga Maltese. Yeah. Okay, and the last one here. Immediately solved by language and bollards and pole. So we talked about this pole, the metal pole. We've got the bridge here with the C with the underhang. You see that in French, and I think Romanian has it too, doesn't it? At least has the S. Maybe not on the C, actually. It's a few languages around the place, but Turkish is very recognizable. I mean, I feel like if you should just look around Turkey a bit, read some Turkish, because it becomes very obvious if it's not already. Same with like Hungarian. I would say Turkish is even easier than Hungarian to recognize, but like certain languages that just have a very unique form, because they're not Indo-European ones, especially. The bollard's the Australian style, but obviously set up for right-hand drive. This sign they love in Turkey. They also quite like it in Bulgaria and Romania and in southern Africa. This particular little sign. It's a weird one. But, okay, here's a nice little tip. You can see how there's like a dent. No, what was the right word? Like an indent in this post. Well, actually, Turkish signs have an indent for the most part. So that is pretty much not found anywhere else in Europe. So pretty nice if we're counting Turkey as European, which it Geoguessr-wise and coverage-wise is. Where? That I'm not so sure about. I'm trying to get a vibe here. Looks like the roofs are tiled, so that would lean us west. So, yeah, I guess I would probably go around here, but not too sure. Okay, what was that? Nice. Yeah, not my best game, but and not my best explanations, but it was fairly. They were either too easy or too hard, those ones. But hopefully, remember that Turkish signpost. It's actually pretty useful. Okay, NPZ. Starting off, we've got concrete pole, single yellow line, driving right, interesting fence, and now I can forgive you for going the wrong continent here. It's not that easy. But this is South Korea. And the biggest thing for giving away South Korea here, one, single yellow line, and two, which I mean is a lot of countries. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's what you see there. And two, we've got this tall pole with the long metal bit at the top, which is like a cone shape. And when you go through and play this yourself, zoom in on it after the round, and you can see what I mean. And that cone shape is specific to Japan and Korea, probably China as well, but you won't see it anywhere else. And it is even more common in Korea. It's only certain regions in Japan, like Tokyo and maybe like Chugoku, where you see it. So, yeah, it's going to be Korea. I suck at region guessing Korea, so let's click in the middle and move on to the next one. Next one here. Obviously, right-hand drive, left-hand drive. That also solves the 50-50 in case you're between that for Korea, because Korea drives on the right. Okay, this is the same bollard we talked about on Turkey, but we've got eucalyptus trees here with these like olive green leaves, kind of yellowish leaves almost. And yeah, so therefore it will not be Turkey, but instead Australia. As we can see, the red is set up for the left-hand drive here as well. You can drive along and see the red indicates that you should be on that side, whereas it would be grey on the other side. We have these low eucalyptus, I talked about, that are here to here, basically, along this line they exist. And we've got very orange soil here. So with that, I mean, all this area is possible, but it leans you towards Western Australia. However, I was kind of vibing South Australia here, I can't lie. So now I'm gonna have to say why, and I'm gonna struggle. I feel like the way that the road is like being eaten up on the edge here is very South Australian. And beyond that, I really think it's more of a vibes thing. I do believe this is South Australia. West Australia is still very possible. 2024 copyright doesn't really help here. It's very agricultural. You can see that in both areas, of course. I don't know, I could still see Western Australia here. Just something about the way the road is. I really am struggling to say anything apart from that, to be honest. I feel like it's out here or here. I hate this 50-50. We've already had it on the series before. I guess I would... It's not very rocky. So I kind of think it's more out this direction. Yeah, it's even in Victoria. So that's like as far south as you could possibly see those trees. And the soil, this is a desert. The soil does get very red here. I would say if you guess Western Australia there, don't worry. That is the standard guess. And again, I just don't have any good way to tell you why it's not west. Maybe the lack of any big trees at all. Maybe in Western Australia you would see a few bigger trees there, which we didn't. Anyhow, we've got a yellow plate on this car driving right, so that would immediately be very helpful. We've got wide road lines here. That is also pretty crucial here. We've got a bunch of motorbikes with yellow license plates as well, I can see. It's tropical, right? Big ditches on the side of the road. That means it's a high rainfall country. But obviously we knew that from like the kind of super green foliage in the background anyway. And I think with yellow number plates and equatorial, what are you thinking? Colombia is the main idea. Sometimes you get the odd yellow number plate in Peru on political vehicles and stuff. I guess Kenya could have been an option here, but we're clearly driving right with the yellow number plates. That's it, right? I mean, maybe Sri Lanka as well, but again, driving right. So I think, I mean, Laos... It doesn't look like Laos, so that's fine, I think. So yeah, Colombia is the main idea here. Wide lines is also something I've never even brought that to mind, but yeah, wide lines is something you see in Colombia. Also, the black on yellow chevron is something you see in Colombia, not Brazil, for example. So that would be nice here. You could confuse this with Brazil, but yeah, no black on yellow. They have yellow on black instead, so the inverse. Where do you go in Bolivia, though? I mean, in Colo. It's difficult. It's difficult. I would probably just say, obviously, it's in the mountains. It's super mountainous here. I was probably just thinking out this direction because it feels like the mountains are not quite as tall and it's quite green. But I think like around Bogota, Medellin. I'm not the best at this country. Well, let's just move on. Yeah, ends up being up towards Bucaramanga. I have literally no idea why that's there. So yeah, that's why your click is as good as mine on that one. Okay, here we have right-hand drive, white center line. This sign, which I told you was common in Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey. I don't think we're there because of the guardrail here, though. And it's very green, very mountainous. And it's kind of the end of what I could say, apart from this guardrail. That's going to be the saving grace on this round. Were it not for the guardrail, I think this is verging on too hard to be able to consistently get the country even at a pro level. But this guardrail is has a big gap in between. Big gap with these like kind of slits in it. That's going to be Czechoslovak. And with a landscape, I mean, I thought it looked more like Czechia, but the landscape's too mountainous to justify Czechia, so I would just go Slovakia here. And it's correct. Ooh, next one here. Last one of the video. So we have some... Okay, so let's... Green vibe. Yellow center line with the white additional line. That is something you need to get into your head for sure. Used to happen in Gen 2 Finland. They stopped doing it now. Happens in Argentina and Uruguay like this. Happens in Philippines occasionally. Except their yellow lines will be much more orange. Their yellow lines are basically orange for the most part in Philippines instead of yellow. Happens in New Zealand. Are there any other countries here that I want to mention that will occasionally do this? Or often do this? Because in Uruguay, it's very often. Same for Argentina, I guess. Specifically, Uruguay does this all the time. No, I think that's it. So we have this spammed fence posts again. I mentioned that was UK, Ireland. Specifically, though, more common in New Zealand. Easy to miss, but look how spammed they are. Super, super spammed here. And so, therefore, with these road lines, we know it's New Zealand. Cat eyes, also very common New Zealand. White painted signposts, new common New Zealand. Similar bollards to Australia, but the red wraps all the way to the edge here. And yeah, spammed fence posts should be North Island normally. I think North Island fits really nicely with these kind of smaller hills. You get kind of bigger hills and flat sections in the South Island, so I'll just go here. Was all the way over there. And there we go, 22k. Not too bad, that. Hope you all enjoyed. Pretty straightforward today. Don't think it was my best explanations, but I'm kind of tired. And I'll be back soon. Hope you all enjoyed. Bye-bye.